Amitofo. My name is Heng. Today is Saturday, the 7th of September, here in the Gold Coast of Australia, and it is the 6th of September back in California. Calculate wherever you are. Welcome to our lecture on the picture biography of Master Empty Cloud. We're delighted that you could be with us today. And last week, I was in Vancouver, BC, giving the last week's story, and today I'm back in the Gold Coast, so delighted to be here. And today, our Dharma request is going to be by Vera. Vera is down in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we're delighted that she could volunteer for this work. Let's see now, I've got a message. It says, there we go, good, all is well, the sound is going out. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times and invite you all to join me in making 3 half bows to the Buddha, if you care to do so. So here we go, 3 half bows. First bow, second bow, and third bow. Okay, Vera, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭敬大德圣经，为随法会集切众生，今将妙法轮教导我们，如何了生脱死离。不得了，苏者无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of his assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and in birth and death, and quickly realize no birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the Blessed Noble and Perfectly Enlightened One.
Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One.
Namo Saranto Suchedoye Alahadi Samyao Samputoshe.
Namo Sadanto Suchedoye Alahadi Samyao Samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿觉如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All righty, Vera, thank you so much. One of these days, we're going to ask you to do that in Portuguese. We'll keep that on as our future project when the Buddha Dharma makes it down to Brazil. So, welcome to everybody who is here. We have friends listening in now from Ukiah, California, from Sao Paulo, from where else here? Malaysia, from Campbell, California. Hi, Brian and Ren. From Hong Kong, from LA, from Sunnyvale, from Bordeaux, no kidding. Wow, all the way from France, right? Saratoga, Montreal. Where else here? From iPad, from iPhone. Berkeley, Northern California. Conrad's here from Warsaw. Welcome, Conrad. Let's see, San Rafael, New York City, Singapore, San Jose, St. Petersburg, Taipei, Mesa, Arizona, Pinole, California, Calgary, Peggy is here, Princeton, Liu Siqi is here, welcome, Hercules, California, Seattle. From, let's see here, where else? Virginia, from Santa Barbara. Then we switch over to the other side of the planet. We have friends here from 有的佛友从台北来的，邱福芬到了哈，哈尔滨北京杭州、朝阳、合肥、大连、朝阳、黑龙江、北京let's see 蓝海还有哪里安徽宿州，还有宝鸡、陕西今天的故事就是在哪里就在朝阳，就在那个陕西那里还有什么湖北还有哪里淮南市黑龙江、北京三位 ，OK， 许昌浙江济南山东，就说河南湖南 ，OK， 上海海宁 ，and that's it. So welcome everybody. Going around the planet is just amazing, totally amazing. If you would like to hear today's lecture in Vietnamese, please go to the chat box, click on the link. We have our Vietnamese translators standing by, ready to serve you. 如果大家愿意听一种流利的中文，那个软体就有一个 translation 那个功能，看到 translation 就有 Chinese 就好了。OK， 可以听到流利的我们义工发心翻译帮你忙。Okay, good stuff. Alrighty, now let me get us dialed in here. We want to acknowledge country. We're here. The Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambi language region are traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is. We pay respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. Those folks have been on this land as a continuous civilization for some say 50, some say more, thousands of years. So the original humans. So we also want to say 我们恭敬地承认于冈北语族的贡布马里人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民我们致敬。他们是我们人类最古老的一种文化，已经4万甚至5万年都继续在这。OK， 对他们表示恭敬。All right, now we got a little bit more protocol. This is the formal Tiantai Jiaoguan style. So we do the bell sound. Here we go. The bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报他诺后的。Yes, indeed. Alrighty, that does it for our protocol. Now, let me get everybody tuned in to where we are. I am going through a book created by our teacher, Master Xuyun, and the book is dedicated to the life of his teacher, our grand teacher, and it's a remarkable life because it was 120 years long. And vigorous to the very end. And Master Empty Cloud is considered to be the most remarkable monk in the last couple of centuries in China. And not only long-lived, but the things he endured, the things he witnessed, 3 centuries, and 9 different emperors came and went. So quite an amazing story. During those 120 years of his life, many remarkable, moving stories emerged. Our teacher, Master Xuyun, sorted through all those, that century and 20, and sorted out 200 episodes. He then, after putting all those episodes down, he found an artist in Hong Kong to do line drawings to illustrate those separate events. And what came about was the Master Empty Cloud picture biography. And there it is. So that's the book. And I don't think it's ever been explained before. People have read it and been moved by it and inspired. But in terms of like retelling the stories, I don't know if that's happened. So we, on this hour-long, here it's a Saturday afternoon, it's a Friday evening back in California. It's a Saturday morning in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam. So we're happy to share these stories and be inspired by them. So we've got the picture biography, and we also have Master Empty Cloud's own, let's see here, looking for this one right there, his own account, his own autobiography. This is the Nianpu. The Nianpu is his biography. So from the Nianpu, Master Hua selected out the story. So we've got the original that tends to fill in a few more details than the very terse but moving account that Master Hua created. What Shifu added that doesn't exist in the Nianpu is a verse to set it off. Our teacher was a poet and a wordsmith, and so here's his retelling in verse form of the account in the episode. So we go through it. We got the original in 2 languages. We got the picture, the sketch, and then we got the poem. And for the practice in telling stories, this is absolutely unparalleled. It's an opportunity to hone your storytelling and story listening skills. Our story listening muscles get exercised with these accounts. Okay, putting those away, let's dig right in. Here it is. The context. Our teacher, our pilgrim here, is now 45 years old. This is 1884, right? So 19th century, 20th century. He entered Nirvana in 1959, but we're now into that 3rd century of these stories living. I'm going to bring up a map now, and here we are. Let's look. This is it. Okay, so we're looking at what is currently called Xi'an. Xi'an used to be called Chang'an, and Chang'an, before it was Chang'an, was Xianyang. For 2,000 years, this was the capital of China. Now, where is it in terms of China? Let's take a look. Y'all can see, I'm going to close that. Here's China, okay? Here's Xi'an. So when you go back to the real sources of Chinese civilization, you've got Kaifeng and Luoyang, these 2 cities, which are right here. This is in the heartland of China. And for example, people know about the terracotta soldiers, right? Qin Shi Huangdi, the emperor who built the Great Wall, etc. Well, he took Xianyang as his capital. And then the Zhou Wenwang, was it, Zhou emperor who followed him, moved the capital across the river and changed the name to Chang'an. And this was the original historical capital. Chang'an is here. When it got to which is called eternal peace, right? And then after Mao Zedong and the communists succeeded, we got the name changed to Xi'an, which is the current name of the capital. But there is so much history and so much Buddhist history as well, centered around this part of China, that I wanted to show you, first of all, the geography of it, and then we'll get into our teacher's story. What's the deal with Master Xuyun was he made a pilgrimage. And let's see, coming back to, here we go. When he was 42 years old, made a vow to undergo some difficult cultivation. That's our word for difficult spiritual work. The intent being, he wanted to repay his mother's kindness in particular for giving birth to him, because she died in childbirth. He was very aware that his coming into the world was his mother's end. And so he thought, I wonder where my mother has been reborn. I want to use Buddhist spiritual technology, you could say, to do something good for her. So he made a pilgrimage from Putoshan. We can actually, since I've got the map up, let's take a look. Okay, he made a pilgrimage from out here. Can you all see my mouse, my cursor? On an island, he started his pilgrimage, then landed here in Ningbo, and started to bow. And he bowed all the way out to Wutaishan, 5 Peaks Mountain, which is out here. 3,000 miles. Every 3 steps, he made a complete bow to the ground and prayed for his mother's well-being and dedicated the merit to her. So you can see that he covered a tremendous amount of land, of geography, in his pilgrimage. And in the process, we've been looking at these stories as they go, and in the process, he nearly died twice, once of starvation and disease, and once of freezing in a snowstorm, in a blizzard. But he was rescued both times by someone who later on turns out was, we found out later on, it's Manjushri Bodhisattva, none other than, right? So his pilgrimage is now complete. And when he got to Wutaishan, he joined a meditation retreat for a week, and then did another one, and he toured around Wutaishan, saw all the sacred sites. He inspired a meteorological miracle. He got these sages' lanterns to these fireballs to appear in the sky, which is clearly a rare miracle, but it's been known throughout history that when somebody shows up who's got real virtue, this will happen. It happened. He saw these lights moving in the sky. So now it's time to leave Wutaishan. But since he bowed all the way out to this capital, the cultural capital of China historically, he's going to see the sights. He's going to pay his respects to all the famous places. So today's 2 episodes and the episodes to come are full of place names that for us here in the West, if we haven't been to China, if we don't know these stories, they might seem a little esoteric or long ago and far away. And you know what? They are. They're far away. They're in central China, but they have been the source of inspiration for Chinese culture for 3,000 years, 5,000 years in some cases. And they're still these places are still there. They're still in current memory. So they were important enough that our pilgrim, Master Empty Cloud, Xuyun Lecture, he bowed his way out here on foot. So he's going to take an opportunity to go see these places and show up. So this is a deep dive into Chinese culture with the overlay of a Buddhist monk doing it. Okay, are we caught up? Do we know what's happening here? Let's take a look at the Chinese and then translate it and interpret. Here we go. 至平阳府朝南北仙窟城南窑庙南蒲州卢村李关庙渡黄河越潼关入陕西华阴立喜悦庙上千尺创百尺峡老君立沟木一起有首阳至香山冠庄王坟 that's a tongue twister 冠庄王坟入甘肃空通回香山过年 When the master arrived at Pingyang Prefecture, he visited the northern and southern caves of the immortals, as well as the shrine of Emperor Yao in the southern part of the city. He then visited Guangong's temple in Lu village in Puzhou Prefecture. He crossed the Yellow River. He traveled on through Tongguan, the tributary pass. He went to Huayin in Shanxi province. He visited Xiyue, Western Sacred Mountain Temple. He climbed up the Qianshi Zhuang, 1,000-foot pillar, the Baichi Xia, 100-foot gorge, and Laojun's Furrow. He admired Boyin Shuqi, and he visited Shouyang. He left Shouyang, he went to Xiangshan, where he saw the tomb of King Zhuang. From there, he proceeded to Gansu province, visited Kongtong Mountain, and returned to Xiangshan to pass the new year. All right, so tourist. He's now a tourist, and the places that he's touring through, here's our pilgrim, going to the various temples and all the famous, look at the architecture here. This is Xiangshan Guanyin Dian, maybe. So anybody who has read the traditional stories in Chinese culture will recognize names like Yao and Shun were the two sage emperors from the past who gave Chinese culture its identity, its language, its virtues. Yao and Shun were famous filial sons, among other things. And as an American, we look back to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln as significant leaders, presidents they were present when America was founded, and then when the Civil War nearly tore us apart, and Abraham Lincoln kept us together, formed a union. So Australia has its founders, it looks back to, Canada has its, but if you look at America, Australia, and Canada, those histories recorded by white people, Europeans, go 300 years at a stretch, maybe, and not much further. In China, when we're looking at Yao and Shun, it goes back 5,000 years in a straight line. Same language, same identity, same culture, same values. The only difference these days is technology, pretty much. But you just go just below the surface, and Huaran, the Chinese people, are one people with one vision of what's important, how to be a human. Now, along the way, of course, we have all these people like Guan Miao. Who is Guan? Guan is Guangong. This is Guandigong, known as Qielan Pusa in Buddhism. He's the one with the big beard who's got this halberd in his hand, and he's said to be so righteous. If you read, and I highly encourage you to find a copy of The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the Sanguo Yanyi and the Sanguo Zhi, This is an account of the founding of China that's full of warfare and full of strategy and full of heroes and full of villains and wonderful reading based on a historical account. We don't quite, yeah, actually we do. It would be the equivalent of the Odyssey or the Iliad, the Greek stories of pilgrims and conquest, going back to the origin of Western civilization with the Greeks. The Sangguo Zhi and the Sangguo Yanyi are historical, and there's one is a later fictional account, but it's based on the truth of these heroes. Well, here's where it began. So Master Empty Cloud goes out to Bao, to Guanmiao, crosses the Yellow River, the incredible Yellow River with all of called China's sorrow, because it overflows its banks all the time and creates these incredible floods. He goes through the Tongguan, and then he goes to Shanxi, to Huashan, and there's another temple there for some of the heroes of Chinese culture. And these three places he mentions, the 1,000-foot pillar, Qian Chi Chuang, the Bai Chi Xia, the 100-foot gorge, and Lao Jun's plowing furrow. Do you know about them? Those are real places. Let me show you. Pretty astonishing. I didn't have a chance to look up all the stories, but here's some of them. For example, not that one. That's not the one that I want. I'm going to close you. I want, see here, right here. This is the one I want. Okay, so if you go out to Huashan, you find the Xiyue Temple is a Chinese Taoist temple at the foot of Mount Huayin, in the northwest of Shanxi province. And the emperor sacrificed to the god of Mount Hua. It's like the Forbidden Palace in Beijing. It's called Shanxi, what is it? It's called Shanxi Gugong. Okay, you can see this incredible structure there. So that's Huayin. And here it has what are called the three major dangers there for tourists who come out to Huashan. And Master Empty Cloud passed through and did all three. In fact, it says there are three even more dangerous places. Here is the 千尺窗立于回心右之上，是华山第一仙境。山窗必直立，其间仅容二人上下穿行，两边铁帘垂下下垂。Let's see here. What else? It says 坡度为70度，从上到下共有370多个台阶。The 1,000-foot pillar is located above the keystone, the most perilous area of Mount Huashan for people who are climbing up and down. The walls of the mountain are vertical, allowing only enough space for 2 people to pass up and down. Iron chains hang down vertically on both sides. The slope is 70 degrees, and there are 370 steps from top to bottom. Anybody interested in climbing up? Yeah, that's pretty steep. I think you might get tired. And you can cling to these iron chains on your way up and your own way down. People are crazy, and they'll do it. There it is. Okay, the second one is called 百尺下立于千尺窗北，是登华山的第2个仙境。百尺下也叫百丈岩，两壁愈合。Let's see here. 却被飞来的2颗石块从中撞开，人从石头下转过，Let's see here. 胆战心惊。生白石块从两壁间坠下来，这就是静心石。The second perilous area climbing Mount Hua is called the 100-foot gorge. also known as the 100-yard cliff. The two walls are close to closing in on each other, but they're held apart by two stones that sort of flew in. People crawl under the stones with trepidation, fearing the stones might fall from between the walls. It's known as the heart-stopping stone. There you go. Climb right up. I know people who would just thrill at this. Not me. No thanks. Finally, okay, here is the, look at this. I can't make these bigger, sorry. This is, you can see the people going up, ascending. Daredevils, daredevils. Here we are. These are the three areas of Huashan. You can see the panorama of Huashan, Flower Mountain. This is, I won't read all of this. The Chinese readers, you can read it, all right? You can see it. It's too many words for me. Qian Shi Chuang. Okay, down it goes. Bai Chi Xia. Jing Xin Shi, 三个大字. Okay, finally we have number 3, Lao Jun Li Ditch. And I'll let people read that. Slowly going through here. Okay, the 1,000-foot pillar, 370 stone steps winding above precipitous cliffs. Visitors hold on to iron chains using both hands and feet to climb the steep mountain path with sheer cliffs instilling awe. Not far from the 1,000-foot pillars, the 100-foot gorge, towering walls separated by a massive stone that fell down. Heart-stopping, heart-shocking stone. Got to go through a narrow path. Thrilling experience. Now, the third one, Lao Jun Plowing Ditch. Narrow, ditch-like, dangerous path, wedged between steep stone walls, unfathomably deep. 570 steps. Lao Jun, a Taoist deity, saw no path here and took an ox through to plow through the mountain, through the stone overnight. At the end of that is called Monkey Grief, aptly named because even monkeys would be upset, highlighting the sheer steepness of the cliffs. This is the north peak of Mount Hua. Okay, so there you go. Just to say, aren't you glad that we dug these stories up? This is the ditch right there. Amitofo. Okay, there you go. So here's our pilgrim, our teacher, taking advantage of being out in Shanxi province. Of course, you want to check out all of these wonderful offerings. Here we go. Yao shun yi rang chuan wan gu, guan zhang yi qi zhao qian qiu, yi qi lian jie min chang song, Xiangshan Zhuangwang Ren Ao You. Emperor Yao gave up the throne to Shun in the distant past. The integrity of Guan and Zhang lives on after thousands of years. Bo Yi and Shu Qi's purity and integrity are praised by the people. King Zhuang still roams on Xiangshan, traveling east and west. Okay, so that's Master Hua's poem about this episode in the biography of Master Empty Cloud. And as I told you, we're touring now. A few weeks back, he was recovering from dysentery and freezing in a snowstorm. But now he's out looking at these historical sites where the cradle of Chinese civilization rocked back and forth with these individuals who still, just now, are they legendary? Is, George Washington, is he important? There are legends about them, but there's no question that these were historical individuals. So, and I only gave you a few. Bo Yi and Shu Qi, these are famous episode about the Guqin player. He was such a wonderful Guqin performer. Guqin is the 7-string Chinese tabletop lute. Back then it was 5 strings. Confucius carried one and played it. And so, is it Bo Yi or Shu Qi, who was playing he was just jamming on his instrument, and the other one, either Bo-yi or Shu-chi, comes along and says, "Wow, that's wonderful, the wind through the pines." And if Shu-chi was the musician, he said, "You actually know what I'm playing. You are my zhi yin zhe. You're someone who knows my sound." And he said, "What about this one?" He plays a different tune. And Bo-yi says, "Oh," he said, "that's the waterfall coming down from the 1,000-foot cliff." And Shu-chi is like, "Oh my goodness, you are truly my soulmate. Anything that I play, you know what I'm, without my telling you what the music is evoking." So they became great friends and promised that a year from then they would meet again and continue their friendship. So they separated and traveled on. So a year passes and Bo-yi comes back, and Shu-chi comes back, and his friend doesn't show up. And he waits, and to no avail. So he takes his guqin, he takes his lute, and he smashes it on a rock. He said, "What's the point of playing? Nobody else is ever going to hear my music the way Bo-yi did." So this is the kind of resolute character of the sages of the past. And this was the place where Master Empty Cloud was able to visit, where Bo-yi and Shu-chi made their relationship. So incredible stories. Okay. Now, we have another one. And let's take a little break here, because this is such incredible, this is very dense and rich. People are correcting my Chinese. Thank you so much for caring enough to get it right here. This is Chinese culture, and of course I'm 100% American. No, that's not anymore. I'm 50% Australian now, so I have 2 passports. But all the same, I'm 0% ethnically Chinese, but I have it on good authority that I have been Chinese in the past. So whether or not, can't prove it, can't disprove it. But I certainly have an affinity for the culture of China, which is similarly to here in Australia, where the indigenous Aboriginal community goes straight back, unbroken, for 40, 50,000 years, despite the white Europeans coming and trying to break it. The genocide was almost successful. But in China, the roots of the Han culture is unbroken. And the language, the culture, the food, the literature, the values are, to this day, just below the skin, just below the surface. So there are various cultural overlays, Marxism, for example, but the roots are the same. And when that happens, what you get is a sense of identity. You get a sense of confidence, at home in your skin. And despite things that happen, like having white Europeans ride their gunboats down the Yangtze River and bringing the Bible and bringing gunpowder and warfare and opium and things like that to China, Chinese civilization has always outlasted the latest barbarians to come through. The Mongols came, the Manchurians came, the British came, and Chinese civilization has survived and re-emerged and absorbed all of these various inputs. And bit by bit, the Mongols, the Manchurians, can you say the British, all became Chinese. The new import changed the culture of China, modified it, but the Chinese absorbed all those different incursions. So when you have a civilization that has survived all these millennia intact, There's something, the deep roots are there to instruct us. There's much to learn about being human from people who have been human longer than most anyone else. So let's move on. He is, Master Empty Cloud has now moved, they're going to show up, move up here. He has now come down from Wutaishan to Shenyang and to Xi'an. Here we go. Ready? And here there's a profound Buddhist influence. Not so much, the last one was just the Chinese culture. This is now Buddhist influence. Here we go. 公年, let's see, I keep put my palms together. This is not a sutra, no need to do that. Here we go. 公年46岁, 西出大庆关, 至咸阳, 观少波甘棠树, 抵长安, 成元胸伟, 城内慈恩寺, 大雁塔, 华严寺, 礼杜顺和尚塔, 清凉果师塔, 牛头, 兴国寺, 礼藏师塔, 到中南百水廊, 有两圣生因寺. Okay, 有两圣生因寺. There we go. The master, who is now 46 years of age, headed west. He went through Daqing Pass to Shenyang, where he saw the birch leaf pear tree where Duke Xiaobo had lived. Arriving at Chang'an, he saw the imposing wall which surrounds the city and Compassionate Kindness Monastery, Dazi within it. He bowed to Dayan Ta, Great Wild Goose Stupa, to the stupas of Master Du Shun and Qingliang, both at Huayan Monastery. He visited Niutou Si, Oxhead Monastery, and Xingguo Si, Flourishing Nation Monastery. He paid respects to the stupa of Master Xuanzang. He went on to Zhongnan and Baishui Lang, whitewater waves, where in the past 2 sagely bhikshus lived in seclusion. Okay, lots of names, lots of place names. Again, historical, these are called diangu. These are historical allusions, not illusions, allusions, but these are actual historical figures and events with deep and profound significance and thousands of years worth of stories. We are doing what's called Zoma Kanhua, a wonderful Chinese idiom that means skimming the surface. What do you say? Riding on a horse pointing to the flowers. Zoma Kanhua. Oh, there goes a rose. Oh, there's a mum. Oh yeah, sunflowers. You know, that's all you get. You get just the little reference to it, and we could take this actual episode and tell it for weeks because of the richness of the stories we're just pointing to. And in fact, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to come back. We've read it this time. We'll look at the picture and read the poem. But we're going to come back and fill in the stories about Duke Xiaobo and his pear tree and Dazi. This is Master Xuanzang's territory. And as people know, we've been telling the story of Master Xuanzang along with our Sunday night lecture series on the 10 transferences. So we've got a whole lifetime of stories with Master Xuanzang. When he returned to China from India, this is where he settled to do his translations. So we who study the Avatamsaka Sutra know about Master Du Shun and Master Qingliang and Huayan Monastery. This is the home turf of the Avatamsaka school, which we pay a lot of attention to. Niutou Monastery is a famous Chan monastery. Xingguo Si, famous monastery. And then Zhongnan Shan, which is a hermitage mountain range, 60 miles long, where if you want to go Bi Guan, go into seclusion in China, you go to Zhongnan Shan. Our teacher is just about to do that. That's what's coming up next. So I don't want to 走马看花, don't want to ride the horse and point to the roses. I want to smell the roses and let everybody smell them as well. So we're just going to tap this episode and then come back next week. So here he is. This is Dayan Ta. Here's our teacher making a bow to Wild Goose Pavilion, Wild Goose Stupa. And the verse goes like this. Chang'an, hold on here. Chang'an gu ji guan bu jin, si yuan fu tu ta you duo, zhongnan you you dong wu tai, xiang gu po shang nian namo. Shifu's got this great verse. Look at this. It's for people who appreciate poetry. Shifu's poetry is just so humorous and ripe. Ancient Chang'an's historical sites are numerous indeed, but the number of temples and pagodas there is greater yet. Zhongnan Mountain, Wutai's eastern peak are nearby. At the top of Drumbeat Hill, let's all recite Namo, right? Xiang gu bo shang nian Namo. Great verse. But one more time, looking out at where we are. Here is Shenyang. That was the capital city for Qin Shi Huang, who built the Great Wall. If you zero in, let's see, we're so close here. Where's the terracotta soldiers are here. This is in the neighborhood. If you fly into Xi'an, it's the Xi'an Shenyang International Airport. So this is the former capital. Then I'm going to waste time trying to dig it out here. But the terracotta soldiers are right here in the area. The mausoleum for Qin Shi Huang. So this is a historical capital of China during the Tang Dynasty, the famous golden era of Chinese culture. Chang'an was the capital. Then it got changed to Xi'an, and that's where we are now. Let's see, okay. So our pilgrim, that didn't help, did it? There we go. Our pilgrim has now made his way to Xi'an. He's on his way down here to Zhongnanshan, where he's going to enter seclusion and become one of those hermits on the mountain. And the famous thing about Zhongnanshan is it's really wild. It is really genuinely a place where you can leave the world for as long as you can stand it out there, because it's bitter hardship out there, nothing except this spiritual site, truly a sacred site, with leopards. The Chinese Heibao, the black leopard, is out there, and there are, in my visit to Zhongnanshan, we encountered a massive python that is legendary. We found a cave with stone tablets, the original stone tablets, inscribed by the poet Wang Wei, who is just a beloved poet who was out there, a Buddhist poet. And the monks had found them in this cave and didn't report them. They were holding on to them, keeping them from I hope I don't get them in the trouble. I probably shouldn't say any more about that. Never mind, I didn't say it. All right. Now, the thing that I wanted to do with the last bit of time today was share. I just came back from Vancouver, and I had the opportunity to do what's called 商堂说法, a high meal offering, Dharma talk. And this is a rare, let's see here, it's a really fancy and special celebration when people request a monk to come out and do the Shangtang Zai, the Shangtang Shuofa. And so I wrote this, and I wanted to share it with everybody, just so you could hear it, because it goes through, nobody has a chance to digest it. So it goes like this. 智慧不论东西，苦海等同无期，谁能为我们指引解脱痛苦的道？唯有佛陀觉悟之人，为娑婆世界开出理之门。后有三藏法师玄化上人，不舍众苦，与加拿大温哥华重宣解脱之意，教导我们如何脱离苦海，自度度他。Okay, for those of you who are going, I don't speak Chinese, why don't you speak English? I will. Here we go. Wisdom doesn't know east or west. Suffering and misery are universal, so who can show the road to freedom from our pain? The Buddha, the awakened human being, found a door that opened to a realm beyond samsara. Holding that door open for us even today in Vancouver, British Columbia, and you can extend it wherever you're listening, Tripitaka Master Xuyun Lecture taught us how to end suffering for ourselves and how to share the path with every living being who is able to hear, either online or in person or later. So, 就说金玉金佛生寺有信众, and those are the donors who made this opportunity possible. Devoted laity who have brought forth the rare resolve to seek awakening in the midst of confusion. For them, I'm going to give you 6 tools of genuine cultivation according to our Venerable Teacher. These are his own method of practice, suited to this time in this world, real Dharma that carries us from endless affliction to freedom through cultivation of the Tao. So there we go. These, I'm working on an analogy. So I'm trying to present the 6 guidelines of Master Hua, but I thought to do it in an analogy of gardening. 发此稀有之心，米中寻求觉悟。为此，我将以玄化上人所教的传授真修之6大法宝、6大宗旨，此乃上人自修之法，他自己修的。以此一时因事，为真实佛法，能令我等断除无量烦恼，修行佛道，自在解脱。So Master Hua wants us to become skillful gardeners of what's called the mind ground. How do you do it? Watch your thoughts, the way a gardener watches green sprouts in the springtime. When contentious fighting thoughts arise, weed them up with the shovel of yielding, patient thoughts. Banish those weeds from our winsome garden. When greedy thoughts sprout up on the mind ground, weed them with the shovel of generosity. When discontent and seeking thoughts arise like crabgrass on the lawn of Bodhi, compost them with the priceless backhoe of contentment. When selfish thoughts choke our Zen garden, sweep them clean with the magic broom of unselfish, selfless action. When thoughts of private benefit smother my altruism, share the good things with a wheelbarrow of sharing. And when dishonest thoughts cover the mind ground with dust, sponge the garden clean with the immaculate mop of integrity and truth. Mixing metaphors left and right, but I think you all get the idea. So let's see here. If I try to read this again, I'm going to get lots of vocabulary wrong here. 上人希望我们都能成为自己心地上的园丁。如何修行呢？就像园丁精心看护春天的农芽一样的，我们也应该观察自己的念头。当争斗的念头 浮现的时候，要用忍让的柱头，一个 shovel，right， 将此杂草从智慧的花园中浮出。当贪欲的念头起来，在心田滋养的时候，要用慷慨的柱头将它铲除去掉了。当不满意追求的念头，如同螃蟹草瓣crabgrass 螃蟹草 there we go 就像螃蟹草一样了，在菩提草坪上蔓延时，要用知足的推土机将它们压成堆肥。Incredible vocabulary. Here we go. 当自私的念头让我们的禅心喘息时，要用无自私、无自利的生气草把它扫除。当自私自利的念头压盖了我们的无私念头的时候，就用分享的手推车 wheelbarrow 手推车将美好的事物与它共享。Okay, almost done. Hang in there. We're almost there. 当不诚实的念头像鸦土般覆盖心田时，就用正直和诚实的施吧来清洗。Okay, we made it. We made it through. 6 tools for turning the mind ground into a living garden of wisdom, a place where we go for shelter from the storm, for serene reflection, a place where we can welcome the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Dharma protectors and spirits of the Avatamsaka assembly. Because, as the ancients said, only where all is clean will the spirits abide. 这6种工具能把我们的心地变成智慧的花园，变成我们避风的港湾，静思的空间，一个可以恭敬的供养的佛菩萨和护法龙天和华严圣众的地方，欢迎他们。正如古人所说，唯有静处神灵方住。When the mind ground is in samadhi, we can plant the seeds of the great Bodhi resolve. I will become a Buddha and take across all living beings with the 6 guidelines, which are the Buddha's precepts cultivated on the mind ground, as we just did in the garden. So I have a question. Now, a good Shangtang Dharma talk always has to end with a challenge to the listeners. I have a question for all of you with this method in our grasp. Can the road to Bodhi be far from us? Good men and good women, if it doesn't start with your very next step, where will we find it? 当心地进入三昧的时候，我们就能种下大菩提心的种子。我愿成佛，以6大宗旨成为一切众生，就说度一切众生。这6大宗旨正是心地上的佛界。我有一个问题想问大家：有了这个方法，菩提之路还会远吗？善男子、善女人，若不从当下这一颗心，又从哪里去找菩提呢？ And there's a little verse at the end. 径路源于心地前，一心透彻通3000。勤修6法虚空起，风迎清风笑语传。The verse says, the road to awakening leads right back to the mind. The first step opens to a universe of 1,000 worlds. Cultivate 6 thoughts. In emptiness, a gate opens. A cool breeze through Canadian maples. The laughter of children on the playground. Okay, well, it's kind of, I suppose I could practice the Chinese and get it more smooth, but in any case, that was the Shangtang talk that I gave to the folks in Vancouver, and I thought, because I fumbled the Chinese so badly, I thought it was really a bust. I thought, how embarrassing. I should have done a better job of preparing it. But then the other senior monk who was there came to me and said, have you got a copy of that talk? I finally understood the 6 guidelines after you were done. And I thought, whoa, dude. All right. Here we go. Time to dedicate merit. See you next week for more of Master Empty Clouds travels. He's going to look through Chang'an and all the stories there, so we'll bring them to life next week. Please make a wish and send out some good thoughts. It's a kind of a do-it-yourself therapy as well, because the mind can't hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. And if we're sending out goodness, sharing all the joy of being together in the light of the Dharma, then our blues and afflictions get lighter and disappear. Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see, our hands and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Alrighty, I'd like to invite you to join me in bowing to the Buddhas, if you care to do that. Just a second here, hold on. Thanks for joining, everybody, and we'll see you all next week. Here we go. And bow to our teacher. Bow to the Buddha. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Last bow. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow night for the Avatamsaka Sutra, chapter 39. The monk Xuyun Lecture tells our hero Sudana how to cultivate the Bodhi resolve. See you all next week. Amitofo. Bye now.